Welcome to the Momentum webinar series, where we ask expert facilitators to weigh in on topics that help advance women in leadership.
So welcome everyone today. For you who have not had the privilege and honor of knowing Malaika Simmons, she is amazing. Malaika, I think we met, we've known each other for about 5 years now, haven't we? And have had such I just admire her very much for everything that she's doing to make this world literally a better place. She has an amazing foundation where she works with women all over the world. She is very articulate in helping people to understand their leadership roles and how empathy and encouragement is a powerful thing. And she developed Momentology. She is a TEDx speaker. She is an amazing friend, a wife, a mom, and I can't wait for her to get started today. I do want to thank our sponsors today. And also, as we were just coming on, I got to talk with our latest sponsor. Thank you to Coca-Cola. We had great conversations here. So thank y'all so much to everyone who makes this possible. This is a free service we offer to everyone because of these amazing people. So if you want to join this A team right over here, we would love to hear from you. And Katie is the one you'd be reaching out to because we are growing. We have started here in Alabama for over 20 years, and we are now in Huntsville. And so we are just having the best time working with women all over the state of Alabama. And so I don't want to waste any more of Malaika's times. And I am going to go ahead and let you go ahead and start your screen share.
Okay. All right. Thank you for having me today. Hello, world changers. Thank you for joining me for Momentous Life by Design. A momentous life is one where the thoughts you think and the things you do actually matter. When you learn to lean unapologetically into joy and genius, you're able to design a life worth living. You stop waiting and you start winning. So my name is Malaika, as in I like a Malaika, and I have a secret. My not so secret that all successful people know is that a goal without a plan is just a wish. A plan without a vision creates busy work. And who wants to be busy? I will take brilliance over busy any day. So as you'll see, I am the Chief Empathy Officer. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. I'm the creator of the Momentology method and the CEO for Momentology Media. I'm also a mom, a wife, a coach, sometimes a chaperone, often a chef, a counselor. I'm a doctoral student in psychology. I'm a former restaurant owner. So if anyone wants to know any secrets about Subway, I'm your girl. I can tell you all the secret sandwich mixins, right? I'm also a nonprofit executive. I'm a legal services ambassador, a goal achievement ambassador, and a wealth accumulation ambassador, AKA Wonder Woman. And I may not get into it this time. We'll see about why I prefer Wonder Woman over Superwoman every day. So yeah, I know you've got a lot on your plate and lots of irons in the fire, or fingers in pies, or whatever analogy you use to say that you have a lot to do. But where do you start and how do you prioritize? So today we're going to talk about how you can be creative and calculating in the execution of your dreams unapologetically. You don't owe anyone anything. And in fact, it's time you collected interest on some of that blood, sweat, and tears you've already put into your life, right? And we'll talk about how to move before you actually feel ready and to change that inner voice. We'll talk about where you go to get what you think you're missing and how you leverage what you already have. Stop hiding in plain sight, no more best kept secret. And how do you do all of this without feeling phony, begging for favors, or spending all your time catching up, reading up, or feeling like you're constantly having to start over? So my goal for you today is for you to begin to see a way through. And I believe that everything in life is created 3 times. So first in the mind, then in your heart, and lastly in your hand. Now, once you grasp this, you'll understand and discover that you know more than you actually think, and you need less than you think to move forward right now. And I'm determined to help women outshine that dull story of less than. And I'm going to show you some new math. Anyone who knew me in grade school would tell you that that is an epiphany all by itself, because math was not my favorite subject. But there's a formula to this. There's a mathematical equation that makes life a little bit more pleasant. I created this intentional framework for living called the Momentology method. Momentology is a study and practice with an emphasis on practice of operating in the now, succeeding with what you have right now in this moment. So there are 3 states to aspire to, and that's the state of awareness, and that's the inner work, being available for greatness, being available for that which you say you want. Awareness gives you a clarity, a truth that you cannot unsee. This is where you find out who you are and you start to map out your journey. You are more than just the words on paper. Then there's the heart work. And notice, and I didn't say hard work, heart work. Gratitude is your center of joy. What do you do that you do for free, that you might even pay somebody else to let you do? That's where your greatest strength lies. And sometimes we feel our greatest weakness. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then lastly, your legacy work. What is your gift to the world? What is your genius, and how will you use it to manifest everything you desire? We're going to talk about how you expect greater and allow yourself to receive. So there's more than just a method to this madness. There's a formula to freedom. This freedom allows you to free yourself from the stories of what you can't do, because you can see how much you actually can do. You free yourself from feeling obligated to pay your dues, because you understand that everything you do has worth. You free yourself from living in others' expectations, and free yourself from any and everything and everyone that does not serve you. Now, not when you get the next degree, now, not when the kids get older, and now, not when the JOB says you're ready. Do you want promotions, raises, bonuses, contracts, and customers? You need peace, productivity, and profit. You need to walk in your purpose and get that paper and believe God for the promises that are already written. If you feel like you're a servant-leaning executive or a high performer, but you feel like you give more than you get, the problem is you've branded yourself as the go-to girl. Now, I'm saying girl, but this applies to anyone. So I speak from an internal space. And so when I see her is me, right? And so whoever that person is for you, don't be the go-to all the time, right? You're wearing this high work ethic badge that's really a license for others to just zap all that you have. So in this presentation, we'll walk through how you can learn to trust yourself, speak up unapologetically, to communicate effectively for more peace, more productivity, and more profits. Stop leading from your leftovers and stop living from your limits. Be creative and calculating and creating a designed life that yields increased salaries, closed deals, productive teams, happy houses, happy homes. That's what happens when you lead a life by design rather than default. And you'll learn to develop an awareness of the possibilities, identify self-limiting beliefs, and feel empowered to take on life challenges. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but it is possible and it's doable. And I'm going to tell you a little bit through my own story. So to start off, I call it acting your age. So, right, we talked about these states of awareness, gratitude, and expectance. How do you act your age? What does that actually mean? Dreaming of the possibilities. You say what you want. There is power in the tongue. Darla mentioned that I did a TED Talk. You guys want to know how I did a TED Talk, how I got on the TEDx stage? You ready for the super secret that only the however many of you are on today get to know? I spoke it out loud. I said, I'm going to do a TED Talk. Now, you might think that sounds a little bit silly, like, well, yeah, sure, anybody can do that. Seriously, I said, I'm going to do a TED Talk. There's something about speaking words aloud. There's also something about writing down. So any of you that are journalists know the power of writing down and seeing things in front of you, right? But when I said I'm going to do a TED Talk, I had zero idea how I was going to accomplish that. None. I went to TED.com. I started looking for organizers. I applied, I auditioned, like everything happened next, but I was only concentrated on the moment in front of me right then. I wasn't worried about what they would say at the audition because I hadn't gotten there yet, right? In that moment, I decided I was going to do a TED Talk. And in the very next moment, I decided I would look for one. And in the very next moment, I decided I would look up the organizers, moment by moment. And that's what Momentology is about. So you take inventory and be grateful for whatever you currently have, and you leverage it to your advantage. You get exactly what you expect. So stop winning, WHENING. When I have this, I'll be happy. When I get there, I do good. Win. And start winning, WINNING. Do one thing today that moves you in the direction of what you dream. You can be, have, or do more, but how bad do you really want it? And that's an interesting question, because we say we want things all the time. Oh, I really love this position, or I'd really love to live in this place. I'd really love to do X, Y, or Z. But how bad do you actually want it? Are you just comfortable in the space that you are? Do you not want to go and do the things that you need to do to get where you want to go? You have to desire the light far more than you hate the dark. Running from problems won't get you there. You must train yourself to see past what you actually see. So what does that mean? You see a problem, you see an obstacle, and you go, oh, well, there you go. So much for that dream, right? Without thinking about where you are currently, what you have, and what you can use. And we'll talk about some examples until you get to that place. So wanting and desiring gets you a little bit closer, but you have to give yourself to your greatest joy. What is the thing that lights you up? And then honor your genius. Because a lot of us are going, oh, I'm not that good at this, or I'm not that good at that. And some of y'all don't know how to take a compliment. And I don't know if you know, if I'm talking to anybody, if someone gives you a compliment, you go, oh no, that was the team, or oh no, that wasn't me, or oh, you need to start owning your greatness. And it's not a matter of being obnoxious. It's not a matter of being arrogant. It is actually a disservice to be so coy about, oh, it wasn't me, because someone is recognizing your light, and you should be appreciative that they see that light instead of casting it aside, right? So as I said, Momentology is an intentional framework. An intention starts with clarity. Clarity starts with honesty. What do you want? Why do you want it? What's standing in your way? Is it you? What do you need that you don't already have? What can you do until you have it? What might you leverage? How will you celebrate when you get it? And more importantly, how do you celebrate while you wait? A lot of us say, I'm going to do this big thing, and when I get it, I'm going to treat myself too. So you're living in starvation mode. You're starving yourself of whatever it is that you think you're waiting for, that bottle that's sitting on the table. Like, this is the bottle that I only open when. I'm going to treat myself to Cherry's Jubilee, whatever it is. And now I'm not saying not to reward yourself. Absolutely. But when you do it from a scarcity mindset, that I can only have joy in my life once this thing that I said that I'm going to accomplish, you never get there. And you never get there because you're not actually experiencing the joy that you say that you want. And joy is addicting. Once you get a little bit of it, you want a little bit more. It all starts with an awakening. And here's how you dream. Are you aware of what's holding you back? Your lack of clarity? That means you're not seeing things clearly, right? Have you ever said to yourself, I just don't know what I want? Or I want so much, I just don't know where to start. Well, what gets in the way of clarity? First of all, honesty. Because a lot of times we say we want something, but it's not really what we want. It's what our parents told us we wanted. It's what someone else told us we were really good at. You're really good at numbers. You should be an accountant. And you're every day at work like, why? Why did I do this to myself? Because someone else told you that you're good at it. You can be good at something without loving it, right? Overwhelm. Overwhelm gets in the way of clarity. And how do you get past that? You start by making decisions. Now, I know that sounds easy, right? Or maybe it sounds hard. That sneaker company makes it seem so easy, just, right? Determination is not just to be determined, which can be a good thing, but it's also making a determination of what you want. Remember I said I'm going to do a TED Talk. And be willing to do what you need to get it. And be honest. Be the person that you want to be. Be the person ahead of who, before you see it, you have to be it. Be that person. Understand what does it feel like for you to be in the shoes that you want to be in. So when we're talking about dreaming, here's an example. Won't go all the way back, but I will say that I was born on a Wednesday, and there's this creepy little poem that says, Wednesday's child is full of woe. And for a while, that was actually true. I don't know how my mother planned that exactly, but that's how life was happening for me. I just always felt like there was more, there was something, right? I grew up in Philly, South Philly to be exact, and that is an actual picture of the block that I grew up on. The stoop of my row home, this is what I saw. And I used to sit out and look up at the sky all the time. I spent a lot of time staring up, wondering where the people were going on the planes, wondering what else was out there in life. I had so many thoughts and dreams. When I was about 9 years old, I went to the Yellow Pages, and so y'all know I'm not a millennial, right? I went to the Yellow Pages, and I found an editor for my book of poems. And I called, and apparently, I left the message on his answering machine. Another spoiler alert, it was a real answering machine. I left the message on his answering machine, and his assistant gave him my number without telling him how old I was. So you can imagine my mother's surprise when a grown man was calling for her daughter. Because I was like, yes, I'm going to publish books, and this is what I'm going to do. Now, again, I grew up in the city. And so we used to have these spools of wiring and all sorts of like construction material left in lots all the time. So I went and grabbed one of those spools and rolled it to my house, put it outside my front door on my stoop, and that became my executive desk. And I made myself the president. Of course, I was going to be president. I made myself the president of my club, which I bribed 3 friends with snacks to be my staff. And so we are who we are, and we always are. Before life and society or parents or spouses dictate. So I was a go-getting entrepreneurial dreamer, right? At 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. But sometimes life catches up with you. You kind of forget who you are. So I'm here to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, I think I saw a few men jump in the room. I'm here to remind you to be who you always were. So this first picture is, I was pregnant with my daughter. So quick backstory, 5 boys and a girl. So we got a full house, right? Pregnant with my daughter, first girl. The house is abuzz with the thoughts of pink and frills. So I took my boys' room that we were going to turn into her nursery. And while I was pregnant, I turned it into my makeshift office. So I got a printer. I had little fold-up tables from the dining room. I put it all up there, and I was Googling things. I was trying to figure out where I was going to get my next client. I was submitting legal documents before dinner, at lunch, sitting in my working on my dream. Whenever everyone went to bed, when the house was quiet. I had never made any money that wasn't tied to a W-2, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't crazy for trying, but there was something in me that told me that I had to do it. So something happened. So I had to own my value and not shrink from it, and own the fact that, wait a minute, while I'm doubting who I am and what I could do, I put together a multi-country training event in South Africa with 12 countries. I fostered relationships with the Honorable Elijah Cummings. I went to meet Henry Ford III. It's a really interesting backstory of him because he never wanted to be a Henry Ford. That's a whole other story. But I published 2 books. I have done congressional briefings. I did a TED Talk. Right? There are things that, and I'm only putting these things at the I, because I was just this one person that didn't know what I should do, what I could do, but I was also the person that did all of these things. And the reason why this wonderful little mini moguls in between is because my daughter happened, and I realized that she was the epitome of the Momentology method. Her sense of urgency is out the door. Anyone who knows me, I do not go more than 20 minutes without talking about her because she's my world, right? God saw fit to give me a little girl who came to change the world, and also a method to help others do the same. And Momentology was born. It started with a dream. It was a little fuzzy. I didn't really know what to do. I could see her, right? Just enough to make her out in the darkness. But that take on the world, unapologetic world changer, standing in her power, was there. And once I began to see her, things shifted. And there are only so many things you can do. There's only one way to be. So let's talk about that. how do you grab a piece of the success pie, right? So the first P in pie, the success pie, is perseverance. So that's a term that I came up with because what I realized is that, while perseverance sounds really great, bang your head up against the wall day in and day out doing the same thing actually is not great for your achievements. It doesn't do anything for your goals, right? There's a story about a fly who's trying to get out of a window, and it's a big window, and he's banging his head, he's banging his head, he's going up and he's banging his head, he's banging his head, and he's never getting out the window. And then 2 feet over, there's an opening. So had that fly just turned a little bit, he would have had a clear path out the window, right? But perseverance will have you be in the fly banging your head on the window. Perseverance will have you taking a step back, getting a little bit of perspective, and pivoting to make the best choices. So that's your ability to find out what's possible. So you might have heard you get what you pay for, but I believe you get what you plan for. And so everything is about what you eat. And I realize this is around lunchtime, so apologies for the acronym of having something to eat, but E is environment. Place yourself in a place that gives you the best possible chance of success. Your attitude, your approach is everything. How are you feeling and thinking at any moment for any given problem? And time. What are you investing your time in, with whom, and when? So I'm going to do a little exercise really quickly, and you have a choice. You may decide to close your eyes or not, just hear my voice. But what I'm about to share with you is an agreement. And it's agreement with yourself and God, or your highest power, your center, however you look at it. You have to understand it's not who you are that makes a difference in this world. It is whose you are. And no one can take away what was given to you at birth. So I want you to notice the candle flame that isn't blurry, the one that you can see the most. And we have to realize that your outside existence is a reflection of your inside existence. So what stories are you telling yourself on a daily basis? And I love that when I just spoke aloud, the candle flame moved like I planned that perfectly, right? What stories are you telling yourself, right? So notice the candle that isn't blurry. And first, I want you to breathe in. So everyone take a breath, please. Breathing is very important. It centers you, it concentrates your energy. Breathe in and be aware that your spirit is ready for your greatness. And breathe out and be grateful that you have another day and an opportunity to do what you dream. Breathe in. Breathe out. And if you ever pay attention when you breathe out, how your shoulders loosen. So if you're really tense and you're stressed out and you're doing a bunch of things, take a minute and just breathe in and breathe out. Okay. From the light of God that I am, from the love of God that I am, from the power of God that I am, from the mind of God that I am, I will hear the voice of the Holy Spirit within. I will lead and not follow. I will create and not destroy. I'm a force for good. I defy the odds. I set new standards. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I'm the lender, not the borrower. I'm loved by God, chosen by God, and protected by God. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rises up against me in judgment shall be condemned. I'm happy, I'm humble, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm powerful. I am unbothered. I am unstoppable. I am limitless. My worth is undeniable, irrefutable, and I am sustained wholly by God. I lean not on my own understanding and know that it is not good if it is not God. I dwell in the midst of infinite abundance. The abundance of God is my infinite source. The river of life never stops flowing. It flows through me into lavish expression. Good comes to me from expected and unexpected avenues, and God works in a myriad of ways to bless me. I now open my mind to receive my good. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to have happen. I'm not burdened by the past or hindered by the future. One is gone, the other is yet to come. I exist in the now. I hold power now. My moment is now. By the power of my beliefs, coupled with my purposeful, fearless actions and my deep rapport with God, my future is created and my abundance made manifest. I will grow, maintain, and sustain multiple legs of international business. I'm looking for those who are looking for me. I am a money magnet. Successful, striving, positive world changers are looking to join my businesses, contribute to my causes, and pay me for my talents, my time, my words, and my wisdom. I'm so happy and grateful now that I receive money in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuing basis. I'm building multiple legs of seven-figure businesses that will create impact around the world. I'm clear on my place in the world. My passion, my mission, my vocation, and my profession have combined to create my purpose. I will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to make my dreams a reality. So it is. I wrote that a while ago, and it is my daily affirmation to myself. And I teach my clients how to create their own. And you can grab scripture, you can grab stuff from the towel. I don't care where you get it from, whatever empowers you and makes you feel like more the person you want to be. You put it together and you say it on a daily basis, and you will be surprised at how you start to believe it. Because one thing that happens, a lot of people say, oh, affirmations don't work. Well, yes, boo. If you just go on Google and say, I am awesome, I am beautiful, I'm not fat. Like, these are things that don't work because you haven't given it time to fertilize in your spirit. But when you say things that you can believe, you say things that you desire, it starts to stick. Marianne Williamson wrote a wonderful poem, and this one that I love, love, love. I put it up everywhere. It's not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your plain small doesn't serve the world. And that goes to your confidence. What stories you're telling yourself. Release those stories that don't flow in the right direction. And this is how you design. So this little stick figure is my favorite, and it's pretty easy to draw. So you don't have to really be a good artist to do it. But when you say, okay, now that I know what I want and I'm getting myself centered and I'm setting myself up for the day, that's all cute and all, but how do I actually get these contracts, right? How do I actually get this promotion? How do I actually, stand up and say something to my boss about getting a raise? Okay. So Theodore Roosevelt once said that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can't care if you don't understand. And that's where empathy comes from. So this little stick figure is something that you can draw at any time when you're facing a problem. You draw a little, and it doesn't even have to be this guy, right? Just draw a little stick figure. But think about it. You have to use all your senses to interact with humans, right? And so seeing yourself as this high-powered, whatever the vision of you is when you're doing the thing that you most want to do. So if you want to do a TED Talk, see yourself on the stage, see yourself on the red dot. Okay, now that you see yourself, what do people who see you that can make your life change feel about you? And you go, well, how do I know what people think about me? How do I know how they feel? This is where empathy comes in. So for example, if I'm going to submit to an organizer, if I'm going to submit a proposal to a particular client or potential client, I have to put myself in their shoes. What are they thinking about me or my product or the thing that I want them to consider? What would they say when they actually see it? This is a little bit of strategy. It's like playing chess, right? How do they feel about it? And then what are they going to do about it? Now, it's not that you will have all the answers, but just starting to think through from their perspective, how given whatever the task is, whether it's a job, whether it's a speaking opportunity, whether it's a contract, whatever it is, how does your opponent, how is the other person actually seeing what it is that you're producing? Because, we don't never want to call our own babies ugly, right? So when we do a thing, when we produce something, we get very myopic. We can only see, oh, this is so great. This is my life's work. How do others see it? So first you have to be aware that there are other people in the world and they don't all see things the way you do. And it's nothing wrong with that. Just don't assume they're wrong. Understand why they differ. And many people confuse empathy with sympathy. Sympathy is I feel bad for you. Empathy is I feel what you feel. And you will notice that once you start to embody empathy, people understand how you feel what they feel, they open up. Conversations happen, right? I can say thank you in over 44 languages now. It's my favorite thing in the world. Gratitude is my absolute favorite emotion. I think when Darla and I met, I might have been on 30. I've increased it since then. So I continuously ask people how to say thank you. I love gratitude. And there's nothing better than saying thank you to someone in their native language, right? It really opens up a dialogue. And it's a conversation starter, but it also shows that you have empathy, that you're willing to see people from their side. Get in alignment with all those storylines, right? Not just your own. And that will help you open communication. Okay. I think for time's sake, I won't go into too much of this, but just some of you may be familiar with this framework for the hero. And so we all should be the hero of our own story. But this was created a very long time ago by a man named Joseph Campbell. And it is the playbook that all major blockbusters use to write their stories. There's a hero, there's a person that's in a comfort zone, right? And then they want to get something, so they have to go on this journey. They enter to an unfamiliar situation. They usually get some sort of leader. Think of Yoda, right? A teacher, someone to show them how to get to the next point. Then they have to adapt to that new thing. They get what they wanted, but they have to pay a heavy price. There's a cost to the things that you want. You return back to the familiar situation as a changed individual. And this is cyclical. It happens every time you want something, every time you're going on a journey. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about the journey that you take when you desire something. Make sure my pages are done. Okay. Next is implementation and success. So you planned, you're persevering, you're determined. Now you actually have to do something. You actually have to move. Now you can see a world that's different from your own. You understand others play a role in your movie, but what's possible? How do you boil that down to what you can actually do at any particular moment in time? The Momentous Life is all about creating experiences that fill you with joy, making memories and season moments. And while you may think that it's not very important, like I don't need new experiences, I need a new job. You need to be appreciative of where you happen to be at this time so that you can tell the story. And I don't know however many of you may be in HR or know, about behavioral storytelling, right? Or behavioral assessments. When you're able to walk a prospective client or employer through the journey of what you did, like how, the questions, right? Like, tell me about a time when, right? I'm sure you all know those questions. Tell me about a time when you were able to accomplish something. So if you are not fully involved in your own experiences, you can't go back and retell that story, right? If you're not paying attention on a moment by moment basis to the life that you're leading and the accomplishments that you have, you can't then retell that story to someone else and then make that person your cheerleader. Because you think about it, it's like telling stories around a campfire. Once you start to tell a story, other people get involved in your story. And your ability to do that makes a difference between getting jobs, getting promotions, and getting raises and closing deals left and right. So what's doable means you actually get the thing done. So you're not just thinking about it. You're not just dreaming about it. You're actually moving forward. And that takes action. And I hate to tell you, but courage happens after the action, not the other way around. So a lot of us are waiting for the courage to get the courage to do something. You actually have to take a step before you get the courage. This is kind of how it works. So how do you make these decisions? Like, it's fine to say, just do it, just make a decision. You're like, okay, well, how? Okay, so this is what I call the choice circle. And so the choice circle is you have a choice to make. You have a decision. There's an opportunity in front of you. What do? First, you need clarity. Find out as much about, do your research, find out as much about the opportunity or the problem as you possibly can. But don't spend a lot of time there. A lot of us get focused on, I have to do my homework. You have to do a little bit of that, but then you have to move, right? So that's why it's a circle, like just keep moving. So get clarity on what it is that you need or what the problem is, and then set the intention that you're going to do something good. There's something good that can come. I don't care how bad the situation is or how many obstacles you think they're there. You must set the intention that it is a doable thing, that you can get past it. And then you have to apply a little bit of rigor. Like, don't just go at it willy-nilly, or, sometimes you'll send out if you're looking for a job, sometimes you send something out on Monday and sometimes Wednesday, you go, oh, nobody's getting back to me. You didn't apply any rigor to what you're doing, right? And be a little bit creative, because doing what you've been doing is going to get you what you already got. So be open and be okay with being a little bit creative in whatever endeavor that you're making. Don't try to be like everyone else. And then leverage what you already have. So a lot of times we don't really remember all the great stuff we do until we're put on the wire. So when you're going to say, put together a resume and you're like, oh, I forgot that I did that. Well, wait a minute, I forgot that I did that. Like, it happens to us all the time. One of the things that I tell my clients to do sometimes is to take their resume and put somebody else's name on it. And it seems silly, but trust me, it works. Take your name off it, put someone else's name on, and pretend as if you're receiving someone's resume. And though, yes, of course, the jobs that you've been in, but when you try to see things a little bit more objectively, right, you be like, oh, wait, I forgot. This was you'll start marking up your own resume of stuff that you did because you're seeing it a little bit differently. And I mean, it helps also to use someone else. If you can go to a friend or a colleague, but be very careful, right? Because sometimes our friends and family see us they see us with heart-filled eyes, right? And so sometimes you can't get that objectiveness that you actually need. And then lastly, and why the arrow is pointed, is execute. It's like, don't just do all of these things and not move forward. I cannot stress enough that the emphasis on actually doing something. There's a story, I don't know how many of you know about bamboo, but bamboo for the first few years grows very, very small. Like it's very, very tiny. So this picture to the left is bamboo all the way up to the 4th year. This is how long it takes. So I don't care how much you water and how much sun is out there. This is all you got, a stump. And in the 5th year, it sprouts into this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And so that's where conviction comes in, where you have done something and you've watered it and you've nurtured it, but don't expect it to happen overnight. So few people reach their dreams because they're too scared to dream, to own their dream. You know, just Jessica, I just want a little something here. I'm not greedy. I just want enough to be happy. And others will dream, but they won't sit down and plan their steps. Wishful Wanda thinks you can just make it happen by wishing on it. You have to take the necessary steps to see the plan through. So how do you do? Research shows that the struggle, and yes, with a K, y'all, the struggle is real. Only 8% of people actually reach their goals. That kind of sucks, right? That's pretty terrible. You have to rethink what goals mean. So I think of goals a little bit differently than most. Goals for me are an opportunity to gain leverage. So a lot of times we confuse goals and tasks, right? So what we tend to call goals really are high-level tasks that are on the way to achieving a desired end state. So I'd like you to reconsider each goal that you have as an opportunity to leverage and gain a new position, kind of like stair steps. And you leverage this by having the right tools, getting accountability, and seeking support or gaining the knowledge that you need, and getting someone to help you. Do not be afraid to reach out. Be serious about your paper and your purpose and your promise, and be intentional about your investments of time, money, and energy. I said a few years ago, I'm never going to spend another thing. I don't spend time or money, I invest. And the minute I started doing that, I started investing more than I was spending. And I started getting more back. And lastly, execution. Last part of the success buy is execution. It is finally done. Done is better than perfect. And trust me, for those of us that are perfectionists and have to work on something, make decisions from the highest vantage point and move out with what you currently know. And create that attitude of just make it so, because done is better than perfect. And then invest your time with the right people in the right places. I told you that there was a formula. And weirdly enough, all of these things come together in this formula of awareness, gratitude, expectancy. And it's placed over being able to accept what you have, but calibrate to where you need to go and transform your life. You plan severe, you have a plan, and then you move. You implement and you execute. You dream, you design, and you do. It gives you clarity, confidence, and conviction, and you're able to map, maneuver, and master a successful life. And much like that beautiful flinging dress, all of these things go together beautifully to your advantage. And that's it. It allows you to step up, speak up, and level up in life. And I will stop sharing because I can't see the chats or anything going on. There you go. So let me go back to, I have to scroll up. I see you from lots of different places. Yes, brilliance over business. Absolutely. So now I will open it up for any questions about any part of the methodology, anything that you've seen. The floor is open. Any questions? And let me close this out so I can actually see all of you. And oh, I'm gonna give fair warning. Thank you, Nee. I appreciate it. Fair warning, I come from a family of teachers, so I will call on y'all. Just saying. Embry. Yes, how to start working on your personal statement. Okay, so as you might have heard in there, you may have heard things that were familiar, right? There's parts from scripture in my own, right? There's parts from scripture. One of the things I do, and I help my clients to do, is to gather words that make you feel good. So remember when we were talking about the breathing, and I was like, when you breathe out, all of a sudden your shoulders drop. There are certain words that you can say, and I give my clients a whole list of all sorts of different words. Again, I come from a family of teachers, so like adjectives and all I got. I love words, but I give my clients a list of words, and you test them. You literally say them out loud and see how it makes you feel. And certain words make you feel differently. And you kind of put your shoulders back a little bit. And I also, my undergrad and my graduate degree is in psychology. So my doctorate is in international psychology. So I love everything about how we think and do, right? But when you feel better, your DNA actually changes. Yeah. So when people say you're a new person and you're a different, you actually are a different person. So something about you changes on a physical level when you feel happy, when you feel grateful, right? So finding certain words that resonate with you is part of it. Phrases, it could be anything. And when I say anything, it could be a commercial on TV. If the Geico commercial, like you feel good when you say it. If it's something silly, put that in your daily affirmation. It does not have to be, it's not a prayer. It is just words that make you emote, that make you feel better, because your body will get used to feeling good, and you will take that feel good into your next meeting. You're like, all right, y'all, let's go. What's going on? It happens because you feel better. So when you feel better, you do better. You're very welcome. Oh, yeah, thank you. Folks have answered that. So I believe they will make the recording available. So.
And I did want to take just a minute to let y'all know we did record today, and you can go on to our website, and we also put it in here, the link to it. We will get that up as soon as we can, and we are still taking any more questions if y'all like to. I'm getting so many wonderful feedbacks over here, Malaika, from people who are saying this is exactly what I needed to hear today, and I needed this, and I needed to help. I needed what you are offering today. I needed your help. And someone just asked about the link to your TED Talk. Is that on your website, or is that separately?
It is on the website.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Darla, I think the Lioness Summit is on my website too.
Like, awesome. Yes, that's where we met. So
the TED Talk is on the website. I'm also putting my LinkedIn into the chat. So feel free to ping me. I love connecting with women and people who just want to do things better in the world, right? So when I say, I call everybody a world changer, because sometimes we don't believe it, but we are changing worlds. The work that you do is important. And as soon as you find out what makes it important for you is when you start changing worlds. It happens. What's the acronym for GOAL? So GOAL is gaining an opportunity to apply leverage. Gain opportunity to apply leverage. So when you know how to do something, it's not really a goal, y'all. That's just a task. It's like, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z. Like say, for example, you want to get a degree. Like say you want to get a master's, you have a bachelor's. So yeah, getting the master's is kind of a goal, but you have to sign up for class. You have to do these certain things. Now, what you might not know is how you're gonna pay for it. Right? So on the real, like you might know the thing that you have to do, but you might not know the how you get to do it. Well, it starts by having the determination that I'm going to get this degree. And I will tell you really quickly, when I decided to go for my doctorate, every reason in the world not to do it. I got 6 kids. I have 3 full-time jobs already. Every reason in the world not to do it. And the one reason that made me apply was because I wanted to. Because I wanted to. More than anything in the world, I knew that a degree, a doctorate in international psychology is fulfilling a piece of me that I believe God put me here for. So nothing else. I didn't know how. Trust me, I did not know how when I applied. I didn't even look at the prerequisites. Like I was like, I hope that the stuff that I did in my master's program qualifies. I just I just went for it. And then I figured it out. And step by step, I figured it out every semester, y'all. I'm figuring it out. And it is fantastic. And I love it so much because it is my joy. It is my genius. And I'm leaning unapologetically into it. And that's what I help my clients to do.
One of Miranda had asked any tips on accepting compliments, because I know that's one thing we teach and try to help women understand, to say thank you, you're right, but I know that can't always be the perfect answer. So you have any tips?
Yes, that's a great question. Okay, so when I told you I have my daughter, only girl, all boys, right? When my daughter was a toddler, 3 years old, maybe 3 or 4 years old, my husband used to tell her that she was beautiful, right? He always said, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so this." He would tell her to tell other people, "I'm beautiful, damn it." And she said, "Oh, Daddy, don't Daddy, don't say that." And of course, she never said it, but just that owning owning yourself. He did that when she was very, very small, and she has no problem. She's tall for her age. She's about 5'7", 8" now, and she's 14. But she's always been tall, right? So she's always the tallest one in class. And one time this lady said to her, "Oh, you're so tall. You can't be 8 years old. You're tall for 8th grader." She said, "I feel like every 8-year-old should be this height." And it wasn't, she wasn't being smart. She wasn't being smart. She normalized whatever she is and she does. That's what's normal is. I'm setting standards out here, right? And so that's what we all need to do. And that's why I mean that I need to bottle what she has and sell it. And I kind of have. That's what Momentology is, y'all. Momentology is really what my daughter came to the world being. But to the question of how do you take a compliment, you just take it, love.
Yeah, exactly.
You just take it. So if someone says that you did a great job, thank you. Think about this and just think about the context. So context matters. When you're out to brunch or you're out to lunch with your friends and someone walks by and says, "Oh, I like those shoes." You don't say, "Oh no, I couldn't afford shoes last year, but now I can afford shoes." You don't go into a whole backstory, right? You go, "Thank you." It is really that easy. When we don't feel attached to it, because those are shoes that you bought, they belong to somebody else. It's nothing personal about that, which is why when people compliment your clothes and things that are like external, we go, "Oh, thank you," and have no problem doing that. But when it's something about you that you might have something you may feel uncomfortable about, right? All of a sudden you start caveating and making excuses. Just treat it like it's some shoes. Thank you. And keep it moving. And
it's harder for me. I can take a compliment if I've done a job or I've done an action and people compliment that. I'm easier at that. But Katie can tell you, when someone compliments me personally, that's when I get uncomfortable, because I don't see myself in that role, and I'm learning how to say thank you. And it's interesting that anyone in my circle of friends, everywhere else, and even my daughters and my family will say that I have pounded into them, always say thank you, you're right. And yet it's hard for me to do. So I think it's just a practice.
Yes. Everything is a practice. And I mean, and you start from where you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable saying thank you, right, just start with thank you and let it go, right? You start where you are. And that's the most important part, because a lot of times we try to do these things and we try to change our lives in these big dramatic ways. And then we wonder why we fail. It's because we've just tried to take on all the things. Do one thing, do one small thing and get okay with it. So for example, if you are and I'll go back to the degree, if you're wanting to get a degree and you just barely made it out of high school, you remember how hard that was. And you're like, I don't want to think about going to school, right? Instead of telling yourself that I'm going to have a degree in XYZ, tell yourself, I love learning. Isn't that true? You do love learning, right? There's nothing personal. There's nothing you can attack yourself for by saying, I love learning. I love being in a space of learning. I love learning about new things. So the affirmations or the things that you say to yourself have to be ones that you can deal with, not ones that your inner self, that mean girl and you're going to swat away really quickly. Because what happens is the moment we want to do a thing outside of our comfort zone, the moment we want to do something differently, we automatically start telling ourselves how crazy we are for thinking it, right? And so we have to give ourselves like little things we can hold on to that are on the journey to the greater thing, so that we're not automatically spitting it out. It's like the babies, when you try to get the babies to pee, then they spit it back out. So give them a little bit of honey and then sneak a pee in there. Get a little honey and sneak a pee in there. And we have to do that to ourselves, right? We have to kind of coach ourselves or tell ourselves it's okay to want that next thing. There's a question I was just looking. Oh, okay, that was it. What's the reason we don't take personal compliments? I think a lot of it has to do with what Darla was just mentioning, because we see it differently. So we automatically call BS on it. So if someone says something good about us that we are insecure about, we call BS on it. So we feel like, and I will tell you that in the 20 years that I've managed people, women are the biggest culprits of this, because men will tell you they invented the internet and be okay with it with a straight face, right? My husband is, and he's a born and bred New Yorker, so this is double down. My husband will like, oh yeah, I do that. That's no problem. I'm like, you never even heard of it until what do you mean? No problem, because they'll figure it out along the way, right? And we feel like, oh no, I have to have proof. I have to have the receipts before I can say anything. And sometimes that's true. And I'm not telling people to go out here and just make things up, but sometimes the biggest step you can take is just owning what you already have. You already have it. You've already done amazing things. And once you start to take inventory, and that's what I meant about gratitude. Gratitude is, look what I already have. Yes, you want more, but if I look back on my life 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago, on the me that I was then and the me that I am now, what I had then versus what I had now, look where I've come. Look what I've done. And yes, you backslide and things happen. You know, I got laid off, and after bringing $18 million to a firm, got laid off, and was like, that was cute. Now what? And if I didn't have Momentology, I don't know where I would be, honestly, because I was able to say, okay, yes, I got laid off. Yes, this is a terrible thing. That makes you feel insecure about yourself. But I did bring multiple millions of dollars to this company, but I was able to do X. I can do this. And we're always able to do that for others. You need to turn that to yourself and do these things for yourself. So think about all the things, and I don't care if it's Girl Scouts, leading troops, because I have chaperoned, y'all. That is not for the weak. Right? So if you're able to do some of these things that you think is simple, leading people, leading children, making decisions is hard work. And if you can do it in one example, you can do it in another. You just have to learn how to see them as similar.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so very much today. Just a ton of amazing compliments here. A lot of people have direct messaged me about how this has just really specifically helped them where they're at. Thank you all for joining us today. And I, every time I'm around you, Malaika, I am just so pumped. I'm ready to go change the world. I'm self-confident. And I like what you said about normalizing where you're at instead of looking at it as the less than side. Looking at it as very powerful. So thank you for being real and being honest with us today and sharing all this with us. Thank you all for being here. I do want to remind everyone, and let me get this right here. So once again, thank you for everyone who has been working with us, but we've got a few announcements here for us at Momentum Leaders. We're currently accepting upward applications. So if any of your organizations or any of you are interested, here is the website. It's also, here is the link, and it's also on our website. And then our mentoring program, I have been so blessed to get to work with this. This is just right up my alley, and I'm grateful for this. Our previous mentor coordinator, Mindy, big shout out to her. She is on an amazing trip out west and getting to do a bucket list thing for her. So the link for the mentoring program is going to be right there. And also our next webinar is going to be on August the 24th. Would love to have y'all join us on that. What I would like for you to do is follow up with Malaika. We have given you her website. I know she does a lot of workshops. She is available for speaking at any of your organizations and companies. So please reach out to her and let her know that you heard her from where we are here. And thank you all for being here. Thank you, Malaika, for your time and for donating your time for Momentum today. Thank you.
It's been really good. I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and take just a little bit with you, that you are all some diamonds, and just go rock it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we will see you all later, and thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking the time to invest in yourself by watching our webinar. This series is produced in partnership with Social U. Many thanks to our sponsor companies, including America's Thrift Stores, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, Protective Life, and Regions Bank. A full list of Momentum sponsors is online at momentumleaders.org/sponsors. Beyond this webinar, we have a lot of ways for you to get more momentum in your life. Check out the show notes for additional links and resources.